Hey everybody, thanks for listening to the El Toro's podcast, exclusively now on Anchor.fm. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Here, let me explain. It's free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on things like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can also make money from your podcast, which is always a plus, with no minimum listenership. And it's everything you need to make a podcast right at your fingertips and in one place. I can't believe it took me this long to switch over to Anchor.fm, but I couldn't be happier now. So, get yourself started and download the free Anchor app now, or go to Anchor.fm to get started.
Welcome everyone to episode 21 of the Capital Wrestling Podcast. I'm your host, Sean O'Brien. Catch us here every Wednesday afternoon at 12 o'clock via soundcloud.com/LTorsPodcast. Follow us on Twitter at Capital Wrestling without the G. You can follow me on Twitter at Sean Neutron. Also, if you haven't caught our show yet, go every Monday night, go to the GFQ Network, and also catch the replays at irwnetwork.com and pivotshare.com. And if you have any business inquiries, email capitalwrestling@gmail.com. Now, also, we have a huge show coming up July 29th. If you haven't gotten your tickets yet, go to tinyurl.com/capitalwrestling and go to brownpaperticket.com, search Capital Wrestling. Next up, Hoboken. It's going to be the company's debut in Hoboken, New Jersey. The last two shows have been in Jersey City, and it's going to be a stacked card and main evented by our two guests tonight. Later on, we're going to talk to the House of Gangone, the Rogue Anthony Gangone. He's riding high after his win versus Beau Crockett, and he's also a dual champion in House of Glory, so a lot of success coming his way. But he's not going to have an easy road because he's going to be facing our first guest. And you might know him from MCW. You might know him from CZW, Beyond Wrestling, Alpha One Wrestling. He is the current CZW Wired Champion, and he's simply better than you. He is none other than Maxwell Jacob Friedman. What's up, man?
Is it my turn to speak?
It is your turn to speak.
I don't know if you realize this, but you missed a lot of important facts. I've been over to England not once but twice. I've only been doing this for 2 years. I have held numerous championships in numerous different parts of this country, and I've held championships outside of this country. Quite frankly, I am the fastest rising star in professional wrestling today. Okay? You did a decent job, bud, but you forgot a thing or two. So hit me with some questions. I don't have all day. I'm driving from Ohio right now after I just won another title at Rockstar Pro Wrestling.
And tell us about that title win.
You want me to talk about it? Okay, how about we talk about the fact that, like in any other match, I was absolutely dominant, you idiot. I won the American Lucha Core Championship. And the rules of that championship is that you are allowed to get away with anything. There's no disqualifications. The only thing that it has is countouts. And trust me, I didn't get counted out. Trust me, I didn't take any dumb bumps. Trust me, I didn't go through a chair. Trust me, I didn't get hit by a table or a ladder, because I'm not an idiot. All right? I picked my points. I picked my spots. And when it was all said and done, I got the victory. Because that's what I do. I'm a winner. And I think everybody's going to come to see that when I wrestle Anthony Gangone. That's all I know how to do. All I know how to do is win. All right?
As evidenced by your success, I mean, in 2 years you've had so much success. What do you attribute that to?
I attribute that to me being just born better than everybody else. I mean, I'm a top-tier athlete. I am top tier on the microphone. I am top tier in that ring. I'm top tier in the back. Everybody's fully aware that I'm a top guy. I've been a top guy since I first laced up a pair of wrestling boots. Always will be a top guy. It just, you either got it or you don't, and I have it. I have loads of it. It is very obvious the second I walk through that curtain that I'm one of the only people on the independent circuit that have it or even know what it is. Most of these guys, they gotta do cool moves, they gotta do flips. You know, they gotta kick somebody in the face about 1,000 times to get over. I don't need to do that because I don't care what these simple-minded mouth breathers think of me. All I care about is belts, money, and checks, and that's it.
Now, when you were first starting out, I mean, you used to play football, right? So talk about that transition from football to wrestling.
Yeah, I mean, I was a all-state middle linebacker at Plainview JFK High School. I was then offered a football scholarship at a college that I am legally obligated not to say out loud. But I'll put it this way: it was a nice place. I decided football wasn't for me. I just wanted to be a professional wrestler because I felt there was more money involved in that for me. And also, let's face it, I knew everybody would want to see this bod. It'd be a shame if I was covering this phenomenal body with shoulder pads and a helmet. Don't you agree?
I would second that.
Yeah, of course you would, idiot. So yeah, I mean the transition was easy for me. I'm a natural athlete. I'm a real man's man, and I've seen a lot of football players try to transition to wrestling, and it just didn't work out. And I think the simple reason why it's completely worked out for me is because I'm MJF and everybody else isn't. And I think that's a reality it's a harsh reality, but it's a reality that everybody's going to have to come to at some point or another.
Now, when you first started out, were there any guys you looked to for guidance or to model yourself after?
No. I mean, I don't know if you're aware of this, but I'm pretty unique. There's never been anybody like me. There never will be anybody like me. So why on earth would I go around studying tape or ask for help when at the end of the day, the only person you can help is yourself?
Mm-hmm.
When you look in the mirror, that's the only person that cares about your well-being. See, you have all these blue-eyed, nice guys in wrestling, and they try to tell you, oh, I'm going to do it for the tipper, and I'm going to do it for the fans, and I'm going to do it for my coaches, I'm going to do it for everybody help me on this long, winding road of professional wrestling. Screw that, man. No, see, I'm in it for myself, because at the end of the day, there's only one person that's looking out for you, and it's you. Mm-hmm. That's it.
Now, when you first started out, what were your goals in the wrestling business, and how are they looking right now?
I mean, every goal I'm set out to accomplish, I've already completely smashed. I'm in every single top independent promotion in the state, and if I'm not in one yet, I will be by the end of the year. It's just fact. You just got to face the facts on that one. People always ask me about goals and stuff. I mean, it's pointless in me saying it because in a week from now I'll have done it, or I've already done it. So yeah, just next question. Just dumb, really dumb stuff. Like I'm taking the time. No, don't laugh. I'm taking the time out of my day to talk to some scrawny virgin about pro wrestling. Right? It's not like I have to deal with pro wrestling on a day-to-day basis enough. Okay? So how about you give me some questions that are actually interesting and be a good news reporter, right?
You're the current CZW Wired Champion. What were your thoughts after when you won that belt?
Here's the thing, okay, bud. Yuma, I beat him. I beat him clean. I beat him really easily, and I beat him fast. Good guy, decent guy. He did his job, though. His job was, at the end of the night, to lay down and allow the future to finally be crowned, the future to be unleashed in professional wrestling, and that future is MJF.
You saw some success there, but you also are about to have a huge matchup on July 22nd versus Lio Rush at Wrestle Circus. And a lot of people, we've seen that picture of you and Lio Rush, and you guys have proclaimed you're the future of wrestling. What are your thoughts on Lio and heading into that matchup?
I have a tremendous amount of respect for Lio Rush. He's a guy who's been wrestling for 3 years, and he's accomplished so much in such a short period of time. But here's the thing, so have I. And I've only been doing it for 2 years. I'm not going to share you that in a year from now, I'll be at the same exact point, if not further than Lio. Again, Lio, great guy, and I can assure you this won't be the last time you see Lio Rush versus MJF. All right? I'm sure Trips and Will are going to be watching, and I hope they have a great time watching and seeing what it really means to be better. Okay? But at the end of the day, I don't want to be disrespectful to Lio. I think Lio's a stand-up guy, phenomenal athlete. It just needs to be documented. This match needs to be documented because it is going to be the first of many.
Wrestle Circus is definitely a different environment down there. What are your thoughts on Wrestle Circus as a promotion?
I think Wrestle Circus is one of the best promotions on the independent level today. They bring in top-tier talent. They only bring in top-tier talent. And they allow the wrestlers to go, and they pay respect to the wrestlers, and they treat them properly. I think that if more promotions followed suit to what Wrestle Circus is doing, independent wrestling as a whole would be better off.
And that brings us to our main event on July 29th at Capitol Wrestling. You'll be taking on the Rogue Anthony Gangone. Like I said, he's a dual champion in House of Glory right now. And he's coming off a win versus Beau Crockett. You know, what are your thoughts on Gangone as an opponent and the main event spot in Capitol Wrestling?
Yeah, so here's the thing, right? Gangone, good kid. I've seen him wrestle. You know, he's got some dangerous kicks in his arsenal. Definitely an athlete. But who's Gangone compared to MJF? I mean, let's face facts here, right? I'm traveling the world. Okay? I'm wrestling everywhere. If it's a top company, I'm there. If it's a top name, I've worked them. Okay? That's what MJF is about. Anthony Gangone, you know, he's solid, and he should be very happy with what he's accomplished at House of Glory. But here's the thing. I've never wrestled at House of Glory. I'm from the New York area. And I think that's a statement right there. That means maybe, just maybe, those belts aren't as important as you or the fans listening to this think it is, because he's never faced me for those belts. He's never been toe-to-toe in the ring with me, the 2-year vet, the main event, MJF. And once you people get to see what it's like with Anthony Gangone versus MJF, there's no comparison there. There just isn't. And I really hope that House of Glory officials are watching this. I really hope that the wrestling world is watching this, because I'm going to make a statement.
And, I mean, you talk about the New York wrestling scene. You got Tier 1 wrestling, you got House of Glory, now you got Capitol. What are your thoughts just on the New York hotbed of wrestling?
I think New York wrestling is killing it right now. I truly believe we have a lot of phenomenal talent coming up on the rise. I am the leader, clearly. But we also have tremendous veterans of the game that have come out of New York. We're talking about guys like Homicide, guys like the Hit Squad, guys like, who do we keep going? Bull James, Kurt Hawkins, Zack Ryder, Matt Stryker, Big Cass. You know, I can go on and on about cats from New York that are tremendous athletes that have absolutely killed it in the sport of professional wrestling. That's just the thing. New York is and always will be the Mecca. It's never not going to be the Mecca. But I'm glad that everybody's fully aware that I'm leading the charge now. I'm leading the new generation of New York. I'm the king of New York. And I think if there's any doubters, if there's anybody who's saying maybe Anthony Gangone is leading that charge, I think that's going to be squashed. I think this is going to be the match that makes it very abundantly clear, very abundantly clear that New York City is mine. Hell, pro wrestling right now is now mine.
And there's not many people who would argue that.
It'd be dumb to argue it. That's what it would be. It would be very, very dumb, stupid, ignorant. Maybe perhaps ignorant. Next question.
You can't help some people out there. What has intrigued you the most about joining the Capitol Wrestling roster?
I gotta tell you, there's a lot of great talent in Capitol Wrestling. Moreover, the production of Capitol Wrestling, I believe, is fantastic. The in-ring prowess of the athletes is fantastic. And you can tell that this is another company, Capitol Wrestling, that's only bringing in the best of the best. And it's not like some other New York companies that are highly saturated in wrestlers that are only in the area, but Capitol Wrestling is more than willing to bring in people from out of the state and from out of the bubble, if you will, which I think definitely makes Capitol Wrestling stand apart from the competition.
And what do you look to accomplish with Capitol Wrestling?
Here's the thing. I'm pissed off because I wasn't informed that Capitol Wrestling doesn't have a World Heavyweight title. But I'd like to make something very, very clear, okay, to Capitol Wrestling management. And I know you're listening, okay? MJF loves gold. And what MJF does better than anybody else in professional wrestling is carrying promotions on his back and making promotions better. And that's exactly what I could do if you get a strap for me, MJF. Why don't we make this match for a title? Why isn't Anthony Gangone versus MJF for a title to crown the very first Capitol Wrestling heavyweight champion? That is what I want to bring up. What's your thoughts on that?
I would love to see a Capital Wrestling Championship. They had a poll on Facebook a few weeks ago, and they had a vote, and I believe Ken Dixon won the vote for who fans wanted to see win the belt.
Yeah. Ken Dixon's cute. He's a good guy. Love his beard. Fantastic beard. But he's no MJF. And I highly doubt that the people were aware I was a part of Capital Wrestling yet, because I have not yet to compete. This is my debut at Capital Wrestling, and once these fans get to see me live and in person, I can assure you that stupid poll will become absolutely obsolete, insignificant, unimportant. Okay? Because then everybody's going to clearly see who the face of Capital Wrestling is.
We've mentioned Gangone, but your upcoming opponent, and we don't want to overlook him. But at the same time, are there any other members on the roster that intrigue you that you'd love to wrestle?
Oh man, there's so many phenomenal guys on the roster. You know what? I'm going to leave that up to the fans who listen to this, and perhaps maybe there should be a poll on who you guys want to see MJF wrestle at Capital Wrestling. How's that for a poll? That poll sounds like money to me. That's the money poll.
That is the money poll, and we're printing money with MJF here. But also, coming up with Capital Wrestling, there's a lot to accomplish there. But I've heard your name tied to WWE rumors. What are your thoughts on that?
My name tied to what?
Rumors of, interest by WWE.
Oh, really? Where'd you see those?
The dirt sheets.
Oh, the dirt sheets. Where are the dirt sheets at? So I can Google this up. I love me some vanity searching. Where'd you find this one?
Just random on Twitter and just these other different sites, all that.
Very interesting. So here's the thing, okay, bud? Might be true, okay, but I'm not here to speak. I'm not liable to speak. Let's just say maybe I talked to some people, maybe I didn't. I'm going to leave that up to the people who are listening to this imagination. I will say this. I've had a lot of very important companies contact me, and at this point, all I need to do is weigh my options and see what fits best for MJF.
You've mentioned traveling to wrestle and overseas and everything. Any locations you definitely want to wrestle that you haven't yet?
I would like to go to Israel. I'd like to go to Germany. I would like to wrestle in other parts of the UK, Wales. I'd like to go to Ireland. So, and again, all these things are going to happen with time, and trust me, it's going to happen fast, because that's just how my career works. I am a freight train of charisma, and it's just, I'm off the rails, baby, okay? I'm going as fast as humanly possible, and I am ascending to the top at the craziest rate that has ever been seen in professional wrestling.
The first time I'd seen you was at MCW Broken Anniversary back in January, and the growth since then has been phenomenal.
Yeah, I've always been good, but I just keep getting better, which is pretty scary considering how amazing I am already. And I think that's the beauty of me in general. And I think that's why these top places have taken notice of me so quickly. And I think that's why, while I will keep it tight-lipped, that in the very near future you might see something happen. You might see me popping here or there. You never know. You never know what's going to happen. You never know where MJF is going to go. You never know where MJF is going to be. But the only thing you do know about MJF is that 100% of the time, I am better than you, and you know it.
Before we get out of here, is there any words you have for the Capital Wrestling faithful on what to expect, and also Anthony Gangone once again?
Yeah, screw the Capital Wrestling faithful. I really don't care about their opinion. I mean, at the end of the day, everybody's fully aware that I'm the best guy at Capital Wrestling. People might not like it, but that's the fact. Anthony Gangone, again, I'll say it again, phenomenal top-tier athlete. I think the world of him, but at the end of the day, I'm just that much better. And I'm out, honestly. This has been absolutely awful. Thank you for wasting my time. I hope you fall into a ditch and can't get out. Bye.
Well, hopefully, guys, I'll be able to find my way out of that ditch before July 29th so I can see that main event one-on-one. But we have a lot to get to, and a little bit later on, we're going to talk to Anthony Gangone himself. So stay tuned, and we'll catch Anthony on the other side of this. Welcome back to the Capital Wrestling Podcast. I'm your host, Sean O'Brien. It was nice to have MJF on here earlier. He abused me a little bit, but that's what you get with him. He's got a pretty large personality, and that's part of the reason why he's in, aside from his talent, why he's in the main event for Capital Wrestling's upcoming show in Hoboken, New Jersey. But the second part of that main event is a very talented gentleman. You might know him from Ace as the Ace Diamond Champion. He's also from House of Glory, which he likes to call House of Gangone. He is a two-time Crown Jewel Champion and current Crown Jewel Champion, and also the current House of Glory World Champion. He is the Rogue, Anthony Gangone. What's up, Anthony?
Oh, I'm doing great. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing great, man. It's awesome to have you on here again for the second time. And, we know we have that huge match upcoming from Hoboken, New Jersey.
Yeah, it should be fun. I'm looking forward to Capital Wrestling once again. Had a fun the first time, so should be a good time.
I mean, aside from Capital, you've had a lot going on for you. You've been a very busy guy all over the place, and House of Glory's kept you very busy. Now you had matches against Cody Rhodes, Lio Rush. You recently were the number one contender for the XWA Tag Team titles. You also had that match with the Crusade for Change. So you've been on quite a roll. I believe you've won something like 9 or 10 matches out of the last 11 or so. And what's it been like for you lately?
Well, yes, my win-loss record this year has been very impressive, and I've had a lot of interesting matches, a lot of opportunities at championships, and usually when I get those opportunities at championships, I always score and I always become the champ. And right now, I'm the current. I have at least 3 championships, which you mentioned before, and I also am in possession of the Excite Heavyweight Championship, even though I didn't win it. But possession is 9/10 of the law, so I've been very busy.
How did you?
All over the place.
How did you come in possession of that title?
Well, my fellow States with Change members, we both happened to take it away from one Sean Carr, so as it's kind of in the crusade for change right now.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you talk about change, but you just talk about just the crusade you're going on in general for your career, this role you've been on. You've had a lot of these top tier matches, and with some of the best in the business. You had that match versus Cody Rhodes for the House of Glory World Championship. Ended up in disqualification. What was your mindset going into that match? And then talk me through that match as well.
Well, my mindset going into the match was I had a lot of confidence in myself. I knew I was going to do something different with myself as far as presentation-wise. I knew that night I was going to be a little bit more than a rogue. I was going to be a wrestling god. And to be in the ring with the son of Dusty, for a lot of people would be intimidating. But for me, it just showed that I deserved to be in there. And, the history books are going to show that ultimately I did defeat, the current Ring of Honor World Champion and Cody Rhodes, the American Nightmare. So that was the goal, to walk out as champion and defeat Cody Rhodes. And that's what I did.
I mean, in following that match, we had you have a stare-off with Amazing Red where, he stood on your title. What was that all about?
Well, I explained it to his face because I really didn't want to talk about it in person with anybody but Amazing Red. But basically, me and Red had somewhat of a falling out last year after his injury. And I took the ball in House of Glory, and I've helped raise it to being the top promotion in New York, and a very important promotion in independent wrestling in general, while he was gone. And I guess he couldn't handle that, and he came back, and he wants to take my championship now. So I can't have that. So that's kind of where some of the disagreement comes about.
And how would you begin to prepare for a match with Amazing Red? What goes into that?
Well, I like to think of myself as Amazing Red's best student or best person he trained, but I also feel like I've overachieved whatever he thought I could do, and I feel that maybe I know a
a little bit more tricks than he does at this point.
So the student has surpassed the teacher?
In my opinion, absolutely.
And then versus Lio Rush on July 1st, you captured the Crown Jewel Championship for the second time, also becoming, I believe, the first ever dual champion in House of Glory. What did that mean to you to not only beat Lio Rush, one of the best in the business right now, but also become the first dual champion for House of Glory?
Well, I feel that Lio Rush is definitely one of the best opponents that I've faced because he's just so quick in the ring. Being in that match, I knew that I had to slow him down. I knew I couldn't really necessarily keep up with him as far as speed, but I was there to slow him down, pound him down, try submissions and of that nature, MMA kind of stuff, striking, that kind of thing. Try to work the match to my advantage, maybe use a little bit of my House of Gangone to my advantage. And to become the first ever dual champion in House of Glory, the biggest company in New York, is a huge deal because when I first started wrestling at House of Glory, I thought I was going to be the first student to become the world champion. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. I did become champion later on, but I am the first one to be dual champion, and for me, that's probably better than being the first world champion as a student.
And you've been facing guys of all sorts of styles, and between these guys, all these guys, do you pick up anything from them, like learn anything from them, or do you just stick to your own thing?
I usually try to not pay attention to other people's abilities, and I try to kind of do my own thing, and that's why I've been able to come up and invent and be innovative with so much of my moveset. Because a lot of it is just things that I really have made up. I haven't taken from anywhere. My finisher, the Dreams by the Waterfall, is probably the most impressive finishing maneuver to come out in the past 5 years. Mm-hmm. So I really just stick to my own thing.
Yeah, I remember you mentioned that in the last time you were on the podcast about that finisher and describing it, and then also just saying, obviously the Rick Sanchez of move innovation. So, yeah. Do you have any other tricks up your sleeve for the upcoming show with the main event?
Well, I've been working on some new moves and some new strategies, but I can't necessarily tell you right now. But you will have to tune in to whatever matches I have in the next month or so.
Oh, we certainly didn't expect you to spoil it, but now that we have the people on the edge of their seat waiting for it, no doubt.
That's good.
Always. Yeah, people are always ready to plop down their money to see the House of Gangone. Now, we've seen your success in the singles matches, but like I alluded to earlier, the number one contender for the XWA Tag Team titles, and also you just came up off a win this past weekend with Darius Carter in the Crusade for Change. How does that singles success parlay into tag team success?
Well, I mean, with the Crusade for Change, we've always been a very good group together. And in Beyond Wrestling, when we were there, we were, I believe, the record was 12-0. And whenever we teamed with each other, most of the time, I would say 99% of the time, we come out on top as the victors. So me and TJ Marconi became the number one contenders for the XWA Tag Team Championships, I believe a week ago. And me and Darius Carter, who have been undefeated as a team, I believe, also got the big victory over Mega Muscle, the returning Mega Muscle on 5-0 Wrestling. So the Crusade for Change kind of has like a very strong, interesting bond with each other. We kind of work for the group, or the tag team in this case, not necessarily think of ourselves. And that's why I think the group itself last year was probably one of, if not the best group in the United States as far as being a cohesive, strong stable.
Now, do you have a preference for whether you prefer single or tag team wrestling?
I really don't. Mm-hmm. I'm kind of adaptable for whatever style that I need. As long as I'm successful, I'm happy. So whatever that means. So whether it's a tag team match, or an 8-man tag team match, or a 15-person tag team match, as Teddy Long would like, whatever matters, whatever works, as long as I'm successful.
Yeah, I don't think we'll be seeing Teddy Long at Capital Wrestling anytime soon. But who knows? I mean, they've started to be on the cutting edge of a lot of things. We've seen them partner with Eric Bischoff. We've seen them, with the GFQ. All these partnerships for an independent promotion such as Capital is unheard of. What do you think about all that and all the resources they have? Especially, also they join the United Network as well.
Well, I think it's absolutely tremendous. They're making incredible strides in such a short period of time. I believe, the show coming up is only their third show, and they're already, Eric Bischoff being on the Eric Bischoff Network, and all these other endeavors is kind of incredible for a company that's so young. It's really just in its infancy, and I'm glad to be a part of that.
And over the last few weeks, I've talked to people such as Andrew Zarian, Mike Law. I've had, people on the Capital roster and also outside of it who have glowing things to say about you, and they really put you up there with the upper echelon of, current top stars right there. What does that mean to you?
Well, I mean, for me, it's humbling to hear my peers say such nice things about me and think of me in such a high level, and a lot of the guys that do say that, I think of them on a very high level as well. So, pretty much everyone on their Capital Wrestling roster, I think very highly of. They're very good as far as picking their talent and picking the best talent in the area, especially. Guys like Mike Law and Logan Black and all these other guys. I'm sure I'm missing a bunch, so I don't want to go through everyone that I think is high quality, but
there's a ton of talent there, and I almost every show call it the melting pot. There's just guys from all over the place, whether down south, up north, and just a lot of fun styles and personalities, and that's really what makes Capital Capital.
Absolutely.
The last card, though, we saw you face the debuting Beau Crockett, and what some people call him Preston Quinn's wrestling son. What do you feel? What was your mindset heading into that match? And obviously you came out with the victory, so walk us through that match.
Well, for me, it was interesting because Beau Crockett is a very quote-unquote old-school kind of wrestler, and for him, I'm sure he thought of that as an advantage. But little did he know that I'm well-versed in old-school wrestling, and I'm not just a new flavor, new indie talent kind of guy. So I think that kind of worked my advantage in the match, that I knew all his tricks already before he even did them. So I think that's really what helped me out, because like I said to you, I believe last time, is that I'm a old school kind of guy with a new school flavor. So I think that really helped out.
And that's that hybrid style you have, that adaptability where you can go with one guy's style or you can go with your own. So you look to set the pace, in all your matches.
Yes, absolutely.
And that card was a very fun card, as are all the Capital shows. They're very dynamic. Was there any other matches or wrestlers on that card who caught your eye?
Any other wrestlers that caught my eye? Well, I watched the main event with Mike Law, and even though it was somewhat of a bad night for him, but he had a big obstacle in his way in Preston Quinn. Mike Law, I'm sure he'll be the first one to tell you that he's not the biggest guy in the world, but he has a lot of heart, and he fought his heart out, even though it was he had a bit of a disadvantage in that match with all the shenanigans that went on.
Yeah, and I mean, he was on here last week, and he had a lot of great things to say about you. And honestly, that's a match that I would love to see. You and Mike Law. I mean, just those two personalities and two contrasting styles. That would be quite, entertaining.
Yep, I welcome that challenge.
But the challenge that awaits you on July 29th is going to be the main event versus Maxwell Jacob Friedman, who happens to be debuting on this show. What is it, first of all, before we get to him, what does it mean to you to be in the main event for Capital Wrestling?
Well, for me, being in the main event of Capital Wrestling is very important, because the last show I was not in the main event. I was more towards, maybe the middle of the card. But now to be from the middle of the card to the main event, where everything is basically on you, you have the entire night of great action And then the main event has to deliver. The main event has to be main event quality. And I take that very seriously, and I take that challenge very seriously. And I hope to fulfill that promise that I've made to the officials of making it truly a great main event.
And there's a reason you two are facing, because both of you have been on your separate paths, very successful where you go. This collision course coming up on July 29th, what have you seen from MJF that impresses you, or what do you just think of him in general and your mindset heading into this match?
MJF is a very impressive talent. He's done a lot of things in a very short amount of time, and within that time, he's faced some of the best wrestlers in the world. And I've actually faced MJF very, very early on, many years ago, in his career, and back then I thought he was good, and right now he's one of the best out there, especially on the East Coast. And I know he has a very high opinion of himself, but I wouldn't say that I necessarily agree that he's better than everyone, and I know it. I would say that this weekend, he's going to find out that I'm actually way, way better than he is, and he knows that.
So you're going to teach him a thing or two?
Well, absolutely. I look forward many strikes to that nice face of his.
Well, you said you faced him years ago. Based off what you've seen since then, what do you think is the biggest change with him?
Well, I've noticed that his matches now, that he really tries to focus on a single body part. Usually it's the arm or the shoulder, because he likes to apply that Fujinami arm bar or a crowbar or whatever you want to call it. So that's something that's kind of picked up from his matches, that he likes to do a lot of submission-based stuff. I know he likes to use that pile driver, that flipping pile driver.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something else that I'm going to be able to try to counteract. So that's what I've kind of noticed. Because back when I faced him many years ago, he really was all over the place. I wouldn't say that he necessarily had a strategy other than try to win at any cost possible. Now I see that he's a little bit smarter.
Yeah, I mean, as brash and loud as he can be, he does back it up in the ring. He was at Wrestle Circus this past weekend. He's all over the place, just like you are. Facing that top level of competition. He did have some nice things to say about you, actually, earlier on the show. He called you a top tier athlete, but he did say that he's just better.
Yeah. Well, I disagree. As you can tell in my statement, I disagree completely about that. But he can try to prove it to me, but I know that I'm better than he is. It's not that I think I'm better. I know I'm better than he is in every single way. So I'm going to teach him that this Saturday.
And the one thing that I've noticed with both interviews is you are far less abusive. You're just a very cool, chill, composed guy. And you cut, what I've noticed about your promos is that you cut very succinct and straight to the point promos. That there's no fluff with them. It's kind of just very direct, and that's one thing that is lost amongst other wrestlers in the business today.
Yeah, well, I'm glad that you noticed that, because a lot of people think of me or try to put me in a box and say that I'm just a wrestler, when I actually do know how to speak a little bit, and I like to get to the point of things, with why kind of fluff it up when I can tell you the same thing in 30 seconds that some people take 3 minutes. So that's kind of just my style.
Is that something that has always been your style, or did you have to kind of how did you learn to give such talented and eloquent promos?
Well, doing my promos, I practiced a lot before. I don't know if it's practice, but kind of with my friends back when I was way younger, before I even got into the business.
Mm-hmm.
And I would cut promos on them. And then eventually when I got into business, it turned out that I was pretty decent at them. And then obviously I would watch the best. And I actually, this past show with House of Glory, I got to talk to Jake the Snake Roberts, who's the man who who I completely patterned my promo ability on. And he gave me some advice, and those are kind of the reasons why I could cut a pretty decent little promo or number or whatever you want to call it.
I mean, obviously, you're not a guy who probably gets starstruck very often, but what did it mean to see one of those guys you looked up to in the business who's an absolute legend?
Well, the thing is that I actually don't really care about ever meeting any of these famous wrestlers or legends. Not to say that I don't respect what they do, because I completely respect what they do.
Mm-hmm.
Just I don't really care about the celebrity culture that we team on these people.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to like I said, I want to make sure that I say this clearly. I always give them respect, and I respect what they've done for me and what they've done for the business that I can wrestle right now. That being said, Jake Roberts is probably the only guy that I had to meet and had to maybe bring back a little bit of being the rogue or the wrestling god and try to humble myself in front of them and ask advice and kind of be a fan for maybe 2 or 3 minutes.
Yeah, don't worry. This is not one of those podcasts that's going to take your words out of context and run with them, because I'm not here to do that.
Yeah, no, it's fine. I just you have to be very careful with your words nowadays. So
sometimes words hurt more than the kicks and the punches themselves.
Well, it's just probably not my kicks and punches, but
yeah.
Sometimes.
I mean, does your back ever get sore, holding up all those belts currently?
Surprisingly, no. I handle the titles, the championships, very well. They're around my waist and shoulders most days. I walk out with them in public all the time. It's fantastic.
Or do you ever go through airports with them?
Airports is tough,
mm-hmm.
because it's always a spectacle.
When I saw that Crown Jewel Championship, I mean, that thing is pretty massive and pretty impressive. On whoever designed it, man, they should get a raise.
Yes. Well, originally it was handed to Ken Broadway, and I guess in some sense, in some other universe, it was somewhat to be like the $1 Million Championship. But unfortunately for him, he lost it to me the first time, and now I'm the current champion as well. So it is a beautiful title with a nice white strap. Probably one of the best looking titles in all the United States.
Yeah, I think I put it up there with the Atlas Championship and from Progress, and also the UK title in WWE. I mean, those are just some beautiful belts.
Absolutely.
And I believe it used to be called the Elite Championship, correct?
At the very beginning, yes, because I hated to call it something that Brian Axel and Ken Broadway came up with. But now I kind of like calling it the Crown Jewel Championship just because, kind of rubs it in Ken Broadway's face. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, obviously he's the Crown Jewel Champion, the World Champion in House of Glory. What is next for you in that promotion?
Keep breaking records.
Mm-hmm.
Probably be champion as long as I can, or as long as I feel I go somewhere more important.
Mm-hmm. And upcoming on July 29th, if let's say you beat MJF, where does that put you in the Capital Wrestling tier of wrestlers?
I would think that it would put me at the very top
mm-hmm.
of that list. And that's where I want to be. I want to be the top talent in Capital Wrestling. I want to be the guy that everyone looks to say, this guy's a Capital guy, or this guy's the main guy in Capital. That's exactly what I want.
Obviously there's no World Heavyweight Championship for Capital just yet. I've heard rumblings of it down the line. I'm not totally sure when, but just rumors here and there. So you could easily see yourself as a future Capital Wrestling Heavyweight Champion.
Absolutely, I've done it everywhere else I've been, so I have to do it in Capitol whenever that time may be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean there's a lot of contenders in Capitol, and you are definitely up there already. And if you were to beat MJF, I could definitely see you being a front runner contender for that belt, hypothetical belt. Now, we really want to thank you for coming on the show this week, and we're looking forward to seeing you this weekend. But what other shows do you have upcoming outside of Capitol Wrestling?
Well, of course, I have the biggest show in House of Glory's calendar year in High Intensity 6, August 18th. I believe the date is August 5th or 8th, where I defend the Diamond Division Championship against Astro Morales.
Mm-hmm.
I have possibly a little secret date coming up as well. So those are kind of the main dates that I have coming up.
And where can fans find you on social media?
Fans can find me at Facebook you just type in my name, Anthony Gangone. Also on Twitter at House of Gangone. And as of right now, I do not have any other social media, no Instagram, no Snapchat, nothing else. So.
And you're probably a better man for it. You don't need too many distractions in your life when you're as focused as you are.
Yes, I agree with that wholeheartedly.
Plus, I mean, I see a lot of just unnecessary things on social media sometimes. I look to disconnect from it outside of the podcasts and, wrestling-related things. But when people get political, when people get dramatic on there, you've lost me.
Yes, I completely agree with you on that.
Once again, it was great to have you on this week's show, episode 21. And also, we want to thank MJF for coming on earlier. He might have left in a huff and a puff and told me that he hopes I fall into some sort of ditch. But, we still appreciate his time. He's a very busy man as well. And you can always listen to this show every Wednesday afternoon at soundcloud.com/ElTorresPodcast. Follow us on Twitter at Capital Wrestling without the G. You can follow me on Twitter at Sean Neutron. You can email Capital Wrestling at capitalwrestling@gmail.com. And if you're looking to get tickets for this Saturday's show, which they're still available, some are sold out, some of the reserved seats in the first few rows. But if you're looking to get those tickets, go to brownpaperticket.com, search Capital Wrestling, next stop Hoboken. And also, we're on IRW Network on Mondays. We're also on GFQ Network, and we're on GFQ TV, sorry. And we are also on Pivot Share. So there's plenty of opportunities to watch Capital Wrestling. Give them a follow on Facebook, and come out to the show this Saturday evening. There's going to be a lot going on. So it's going to be in Hoboken, New Jersey this time, the debut. So I want to thank you all for listening, and we will see you here next week. I'm not sure who the guests are going to be just yet, but stay tuned to my Twitter, and we'll see you guys here next week.